All right, guys, we are going to be reacting to I'm Leaving Germany. Brutally honest review. I was not expecting this at all. So let's jump in here and see what's going on.
I'm leaving Germany. In fact, I have already left and I'm not coming back ever. I mean, I will come back to visit, but not for living. That time is over. Over the years, a lot of people have come up to me and said, "Hey, I watched your videos about Germany and they convinced me to move to Germany." And now I have to say, I'm sorry guys, things have changed. I've been living in Germany for the better part of my life. I grew up in the south of Germany, lived for 30 years plus in Germany, the last 8 of which were in Berlin. But with every year that passes, things are getting kind of worse and worse every year a little bit. Quality of life in Germany is degrading to a point where I don't see a future in this country anymore. So I'm moving away. And in this video, I just want to share my honest opinion about the state of affairs in Germany, give my 2 cents about it, and tell you what led me to this decision. Especially if you are considering moving to Germany, building a life there, you should watch this video. It all comes down to politics in the end. The decisions your leaders make for your country affect everybody, in a good or in a bad way. For 20 years, I've been watching the government make one bad decision after another. And I just can't take it anymore. I can't. Watching politics in Germany is like watching a prequel to the movie Idiocracy. If you haven't watched that movie, you definitely should. It's basically what's happening in most of the world. Germany is not an exception.
And this was a big psyop too in the 90s. This is, if you are telling me Generation X, what's Generation X? This is Generation X. One of the biggest psyop generations ever, man. The 90s, early 2000s, right here.
I'd love to help fixing it, but then you would have to go into politics and then you have to deal with all the people that are already there, which will drive you mad for the rest of your life. So the only option you have left is to leave. In the end, it all comes down to quality of life, and quality of life in Germany is degrading every year more.
This is a crazy video.
Seems to be accelerating. So I don't think that country will be a good place to live in the foreseeable future, maybe in the far future again. It's not all bad, of course, but if you can choose where you live, there's far better places to do that. I have made hundreds of videos about Germany, and you know all the good stuff already. So this video isn't gonna be about pros and cons. This video is about like the decisions that made me leave. Why is Germany not the best place to live anymore? First, the economy. Germany has been stagnant or even in a recession for the last few years, and the last year especially has been very brutal. There's job cuts in all sectors, obviously because of the decisions politicians made, one of which is the energy. As you all know, Germany is an industrial powerhouse. We don't have many resources, but we have a lot of industry, that produces things. For those industries, you need a lot of energy. But Germany managed over the last decade to become the most expensive country in the world when it comes to electricity. No other countries in the world, maybe UK also, pays as much for a kilowatt. It's ridiculous how expensive electricity is here.
Wow.
Germany had this awesome plan to become 100% renewable energy, which is a good thing. I believe in renewable energy, sustainable.
Me too.
But the way it was implemented was just the most stupid thing I've ever seen in my life. No, there's more stupid things, but it's one of them. So basically, we got rid of all our nuclear power plants before we had other power plants up and running to replace that energy.
That's a slow transition.
Kind of pretty long, decade-long transition to have high electricity costs. Also, you have to import electricity from other countries. I don't want to get into the details. This is just one fact that makes Germany an unattractive place to do business for businesses because it's so expensive. So they move to other places abroad where it's cheaper. But of course, the effect of that is less jobs available, more unemployment, etc. You just have to look at the news. All the major big companies in Germany having mass layoffs. Each month, 2025, 10,000 here, 15,000 there, literally every month, news like that coming out. So if you are looking for a job, if you want to come to Germany to work, it's not a good time anymore. It was 5 years ago, but things have changed. And it's not only the electricity prices, it's also AI is competing with human jobs. It all comes together, which makes Germany not a good place to look for a job anymore. And apart from that, it's also not motivating here to work more, because if you earn more, not much more, the percentage of what you have to pay in taxes and also social insurances and everything, it goes up so much. If you calculate all the things you have to pay from your income, you can't even keep half. You can keep maybe like 30% of your income after deducting all the taxes and social insurances. Germany is a good country for like middle class earnings because
one is considered a top earner in Germany from 69 euros annual gross income. Golly, really? That's nothing.
then you don't pay so much tax, and then you have to pay 19% tax again on the things you buy, you as a consumer. People keep forgetting, and I think that's also why the system is designed the way it is, with the taxes and everything. You're not only paying your income tax and social insurances, you're also paying VAT, Umsatzsteuer, which is 19%. If you put it in perspective, 7 out of 10 hours you are working for the state, which, in my opinion, is too much. You shouldn't work 7 out of 10 hours for the state. It's just in no relation. You know, Germany is a country of hardworking people. Germans, they don't love work.
Germans have a very good reputation around the world of hardworking individuals, creators, innovators. So I agree with him.
But they work hard.
Discipline.
That has its pros and cons. Because if your politicians are also hardworking people and they are working hard in the wrong direction, they are working very hard to ruin this country. Just imagine how
metaphor.
hard you have to work as a politician.
Good metaphor.
To ruin a nation with 80 million hardworking people. You've got to work damn hard.
That's a good logic right there. I don't know a lot about Germany. I only know a little bit. Culturally, I'm very versed when it comes down to Germany. However, when it comes down to their politics, I still don't understand it. That's why I do a lot of these videos to educate myself regarding Europe and Germany in particular. However, I've seen a lot of Americans going there, but a lot of the Americans that go to Germany are inclined to a more high tax economy. Okay, I'm not gonna say too much, but it's interesting because remember, guys, we used to watch a lot of his videos, and he was a very good, and it is a good content creator for German. So I'm wondering, how is this affecting him monetarily?
You don't have to take all this facts from me, you know. I'm just summing it up here. All the economy advisors in Germany, all the big firms, they're saying this to the politicians, but they're not doing anything about it. They just act. If you ignore the issue, it's gonna go away on their own. But it's not. And things are even worse if you're self-employed. Germany hates entrepreneurs, you know. They've been saying for years they need to make things more attractive for startups, for small businesses, for entrepreneurs, to attract them. But they're doing exactly the opposite. They make it every year kind of more unattractive. If you want to do anything in this country, they're gonna make it as hard as possible for no reason at all.
You need low taxes.
You have to pay even more than employees for social insurances. You have to pay double the rate for health insurance. Now they even want to make pension insurance obligatory for self-employed people because the pension system is falling apart and they're just scrambling to get more money in the system, which will lead to more entrepreneurs and freelancers to leave, like me, because I'm not doing that. You know how much pension insurance is in Germany?
Oh, he was about to say, I'm not making that much money. He was about to say it.
Like me? Because I'm not doing that. You know how much pension insurance...
I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. He said I'm not doing that.
...is in Germany? Guess? No.
No?
More.
More what?
More than that.
More than that?
You already have to pay like 18% in health insurance, and then you will have to pay another 18.5% for pension insurance.
Wow.
18.5%. If you earn €100 being self-employed, 18 euro will go into pension insurance, into a system you will never see anything significant coming back. Because once we are getting old enough to get pension, inflation will have eaten most of it.
Yeah,
and
it will take over.
Purchasing power of the money paid in will be nothing. Because Germany has a very bad pension system, not like in the USA where you can like invest it in different things.
You have a little bit more flexibility to it. You have a little bit more flexibility.
Germany, you just pay it in and the government puts it into who knows what, but it's not growing, you know. It's just like 2%, I think, a year. It increases in value, which inflation is already eating up. So
yeah, I think inflation is what? It's not 1.7, like 2.7, 2.9. Let me check. Let's see. Average annual inflation. Let's see, is 3.3 in the United States, but I think it's between 2 to 3%.
A good pension in Germany, so it's not worth paying into it. Employed people have to pay for it already. For self-employed people, it was not obligatory. For me, this would be a reason enough to leave Germany, to pay 18% extra on your income. It's
Damn.
mad.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's not
crazy.
just me, you know, you just have to look at surveys. There's plenty of surveys out there that ask young people or entrepreneurs.
You know what's crazy? At the end, and this is in the United States, we have a bad healthcare system, but we get treated very well. You know, when we get treated very well. However, we are in a very similar situation. Don't get it wrong, guys. A lot of these countries are going through a lot of stuff at the same time. So it'll be interesting to know how Germany moves in the next 10 to 20 years.
Freelancers, if they want to stay in Germany, if they're thinking about moving abroad, working somewhere else, living somewhere else. And from all the people I know, and I know a lot of freelancers and people who have like small businesses, none of them want to stay in Germany. They either have already left, are about to leave, or are planning to leave. I am here right now in Cyprus. I went to some meetups here and it's like full of German entrepreneurs. They all left. And they're all leaving to not just here, you know, there's tens of thousands of entrepreneurs living here with businesses. They just can't take it anymore, the system in Germany. They come here, they go to Spain, they go to other places, you know, anywhere but Germany to do business. A lot of people think businesses should pay higher taxes. Wealthy individuals should pay higher taxes. That more money will be in the system. But it's quite the opposite. Because if you think like that, you're not living in reality. People and businesses can just move to another country. And you've seen this in other countries where they raise the taxes for rich people, they raise the taxes for businesses.
They leave.
They just move abroad to friendlier places for them. And in the end, you have less tax money in the system and you have less people who contribute to the society you want to build because they left, because they're pissed off. Just to have it said, I don't have a thing against taxes. If I would see that the tax money I pay is in good hands, you know, they do something good with it, but the amount you see being wasted on the most stupid things, it's unbelievable.
The problem is that that's the excuse of all the countries when it comes down to taxes. They all say the same thing. If I can say the same thing. I would have no problem with taxes if I knew those taxes were spent correctly. That's the most wishful outcome that you want. However, in reality, it's not like that because you still have humans that are dealing with money, and you know, humans can be contaminated with lust, with greediness, even with money that is not theirs. So you have to add the human component. When you see it in theory, it makes sense, right? In theory, but when you put the human component, then a lot of obstacles get inside that venture towards that goal.
So much money is going into war, is going into social welfare for lazy people. I'm not against taxes at all. You know, taxes are a good thing, contributing something to society.
Correct.
The state can do something with that money to make the quality of life for everyone better. But in Germany, I don't see that happening anymore. What I see is that the majority of taxes is being wasted. Penalties are so high if you are evade taxes in Germany. It's worse than murder, right? So, but there's no laws keeping politicians accountable for wasting taxes, and they should be accountable.
Man. That's politics.
Because you work, as I said earlier, 7 out of 10 hours for the state, right? And then they waste this money. There's even a book coming out in Germany, or like a magazine, that shows the biggest tax wastes of the country each year. If you look at it, you think, like, how on earth is this possible? Who approved those projects wasting billions of taxpayer money? And taxpayer money is literally human life. You worked for it. You paid this money with your time that you worked, and you're just wasting it. I'd be glad to pay 70% of taxes if quality of life would go to the moon, you know, but it's going down. It's no logic. But you know who Germany is a really good country for? Lazy people. Germany has one of the best social welfare systems in the world. And I mean, it's so good, it's almost not worth working a low-income job. Because if you work for minimum wage, full-time, you barely make more than you would get from social welfare. And by earning a little bit more, I mean getting like a few €100 more per month for working full-time instead of going for the social welfare system. And there's gonna be people in the comments, oh, you just get €550 a month for social welfare. And that's not true. You get €500 cash, and then they pay your flat, where it depends where you live, how much it costs. You know, there's limits, of course, but in a city like Munich, for example, they will also pay for a flat that costs €1,000 a month, and then you have health insurance, which would cost €300 a month if you would pay for it on your own. Also, you don't have to pay for Beitragsservice, which is €18 a month, right? If you calculate all those things together, you have like a few €100 less being on social welfare than working a full-time job, 40 hours a week.
That's crazy.
On minimum wage.
That's
the only
crazy.
logical option for a person being in this situation is to go for social welfare. You have 40 hours a week for yourself. You can work on a side project. You can play video games all day. You can get drunk all day. It doesn't matter what you do. The only thing you have to do is show up at the job center once in a while and say, yeah, I'm looking for a job.
And you know what's
That's it.
crazy? The majority of unemployment and social welfares are like that. You just tell them that you're looking for jobs, but you don't have to get a job.
And you get this for the rest of your life. And what also a lot of people don't know or don't want to know is that if you have children and you are unemployed and get social welfare, your children also will get Bürgergeld. They will get social welfare. Especially
Now, that's
for unemployed
crazy.
people with children, it doesn't make any sense to work at all.
That's crazy.
They can spend time with the children. The children also get like €500 a month in Bürgergeld extra on top of what the parent is getting. So Germany is a great place for lazy people who don't want to work, have a lot of children, get paid from the state. They give you a big flat, a big house for doing nothing. And that's great for them, but it's not great for society as a whole. And some people say that, these are just exceptions. Most people, they need the benefits because they can't work, they can't find a job. But I can just tell you from my personal experience, I've been living in Berlin 8 years. I've been living in Neukölln. 25% of the people living in Neukölln get social welfare.
Wow.
1 in 4 people. Public statistics, you can look it up. I know people who have been getting social welfare in South Germany, where I come from, for 20 years, 30
Wow.
years. Doesn't matter. They don't want to work. They take
Wow.
a job once in a while for a year, then they go back to the system because it's not worth getting a low-income job. But of
Wow.
course, Berlin is the worst city when it comes to this. It's like in some parts of Germany, it's looked down upon getting social welfare. In Berlin, it's kind of the opposite. If you have a job, you're like.
But because the demographic that you have there, again, it comes down to demographic, guy. And I'm not talking about skin demographic. I'm talking about ideological demographic. In Berlin, you have more left-leaning individuals. So that means they're going to be more attracted towards more left-leaning policies, which is more like living through the welfare. That's what it is. My opinion.
You're working? Why would you do that? I'm not making this up. I know personally dozens of people who get social welfare not because they can't work, because they don't want to work, right? And I'm one guy. I know dozens of people like that. If I, one guy, know a couple of dozen people who abuse the system, it's not the exception anymore. It's becoming the norm. Berlin alone is losing like hundreds of millions of euros to people who abuse the system. They know this, but they can't do anything about this because it's the law. You have to follow the law. Congratulations for being lazy, I guess, if that's what you want to do with your life. You won the lottery in Germany. This is just one more fact about what's going wrong in Germany. I personally don't want to live in a country where laziness is rewarded and hard work is penalized. There's no logic in that for me. I'd rather pay my taxes elsewhere. There's another really important thing that has been bugging me a lot about living in Germany. And it's how society interacts with one another, like people. I never had to think about those things, but I am at an age where I have to think about where I want to raise children. And Germany and Germans are really hostile against children. They They don't want them. It sounds absurd, but it really is like that. Germany is not a family-friendly country at all. There are some financial incentives in Germany to have children. You get like Kindergeld and parental leave and all that. But when it comes to like
Culturally.
the people and how they view children, it's very negative. Just to give you a few examples. If you go to a restaurant with a child, people in the restaurant, Germans, they will look at you and they make a face like, "Ugh, are you kidding me? Are you seriously bringing this child into the restaurant to ruin my time here?" Everywhere I've been, Southern Europe, Japan, Southeast Asia, if you enter a restaurant with a child, people will light up. You know, they will, hello. They will want to interact with the children. They're nice. They seem happy that they're there, you know. In Germany, it's the opposite. If Germans see children in public places, they're annoyed. They don't want to have them there. And that says a lot about society, not in a good way. Being annoyed by children, doesn't matter where you are, it's not right. You know, everybody has been a child. Most people have children. They're an integral part of society. They're your future. They're the society's future. You should be happy that they're there. If you
Let me know in the comment section below about that. Is that true? Like, damn, that's kind of scary. But is that true? Let me know in the comment section below.
want to ride a train in Germany with a baby, there is no proper place to change the diapers. There isn't, and it doesn't make any sense because you're stuck in a train for hours. Even on that expensive train, ICE, there is no proper place to do this. It's humiliating for the child and for the parent to be riding on a train in Germany. I guess it's out of the box now. I do have children now, and I've been traveling with them a lot. As
Oh
you've seen
wow, he has children.
in my
Okay.
videos. I haven't seen a more hostile place to children than Germany. And this is a very sad statement. When I've been to Japan with them, you wouldn't believe the facilities they have. You know, there's nursing rooms everywhere, there's like diaper changing stations everywhere, and those facilities are also like something I've never seen in Europe anywhere. You know, you go in there, there's like sofas for mothers to breastfeed their children. There's free diapers, and once you get children, you also think about where you want to raise them. Especially if you have a daughter, I don't think Germany is a good place to raise a daughter anymore, because women in general, they don't feel safe anymore walking down the street at night. You don't have to take it from me. There's public petitions in all major German cities. Women want like vouchers for free taxi rides at night. In Berlin, they want to have like women-only subway wagons.
What? Oh my
The stories
god.
you hear in Berlin, what women have to endure in public transport, it's fucked up. It's fucked up.
So more privileges, but let's not fix the problems, I guess.
You all know the reasons why it is like that. I don't have to talk.
What's the reason? I want to know. I don't know why. What's the reason? Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. I don't know the reasons, guys. I have no idea. I have no idea.
About it. But the fact is, women in Germany don't feel safe anymore, for good reason. And deciding to raise a daughter in Germany is just, it's not a good thought to have, you know. You want to keep your people safe, your children safe, that they grow up in a friendly environment where they can feel safe any time of the day. This is just my opinion, but if a woman can't walk down the street at night and feel safe anymore, you have failed as a society, as a country.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. And it's kind of ridiculous. Every time something happens in Germany, politicians will just say, yeah, we have a knife problem. Knives are killing people. Women are dressed wrong. They should dress differently. And it's not a small thing, but you can also see it in the small things. You can't go to the supermarket anymore without feeling we're living in a crime-polluted society. Like in Prenzlauer Berg, one of the best neighborhoods in all of Berlin. If you want to go and buy shampoo or a cream, you go in a drugstore, DM. You have to go in many of the drugstores in Berlin to the cashier to get them so they unlock the products.
Yeah,
because they got stolen so much. Even in the Edeka, in like a normal supermarket, they're locking up alcohol, they're locking up Red Bulls, things that cost $1.50. They're putting security things on them that need to be unlocked at a cashier. What kind of society is this becoming? Another example is Christmas markets. Last year there have been a few Christmas markets who got cancelled because they can't afford the terror defense anymore because it's too expensive. It costs millions of euros for big Christmas markets to put those barriers.
Humiliating, man. That's humiliating, man.
Up. And if Christmas markets, the place of joy, the one thing people look forward to in December when it's cold and ugly outside, if they get cancelled because they can't afford terror defense, many things have gone wrong in this country. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to blame this on migration. Migration isn't.
He said it. Has nothing to do with migrants, I guess.
A bad thing per se. It's just,
I mean, I understand migration. You want migrants, right? But don't you want migrants that really assimilate to your culture? Like they want to be Germans? I don't know.
There's gonna be a few people who are doing stupid
Few
things,
people, bro. Like,
and you have to select
bro.
them out.
Few
But
people.
Germany is doing an extremely bad job at that. One of the bigger problems regarding that is that even if the people come to Germany to look for a refuge, they get denied. And if they are from certain countries which are considered not safe, Germany cannot send them back, even if they are not allowed to stay in Germany, if they're not granted.
Nearly 1 million rejected asylum seekers live in Germany. God damn, bro. Wow. Wow, bro. That is insane. That is insane, bro. Wow.
Permission to live, to become a resident, to work here, etc. So you have this huge group of people from refugees who come to Germany. Their permission to be here got denied, but they can't be deported to their home country because it's not safe there. So they can't work here, they can't do anything here, but they are here because they're kind of in limbo, and that creates a lot of problems,
bro.
because they can't be part of society, they can't integrate, and some of them, of course, cause some trouble. It's also understandable that if you are in this limbo, you get a lot of resentment because this country didn't accept you. Another thing that drives people away is the unaffordability of Germany, especially when it comes to housing. Cost of living is rising. Germany has become so unaffordable when it comes to housing that people don't even dream about owning a house, owning a flat anymore. Everybody below the age of 35 has basically given up on ever owning real estate to live in. Yeah, it's become so expensive. We were looking at houses or apartments in Berlin, and Berlin is by far not the most expensive city in Germany. There's many cities more expensive. You'd have to have €1 million to buy something for a family. Yeah, with like 3-4 rooms in a normal location. If you're gonna go outside, you can probably find something for like half that, but even half a million is like,
it's still a lot of money.
You're not gonna earn €1 million in your life in Germany, not with the taxes and social insurances. You're not gonna
when he's saying you're not earning like meaning like profited, that's impossible, bro. With that tax system, it's almost impossible.
Even if you work your whole life at normal job, middle class, you will not be able to afford a house in Germany anymore. Not gonna happen. All the things you have to pay, social insurances, it's just adding up and making your quality of life go down. You know how much I had to pay health insurance back in Germany the last year? It was €1,000 a month. €1,000 a month. It's €12,000 a year. If you're self-employed, it's almost like 20%. Once you earn like €5,000 a month in income, you have to pay €1,000 of that to the health insurance provider. Now I got international health insurance.
So basically, he's making about €5,000 or $5,000 a month in YouTube, which is okay. It's a very sustainable.
I pay less than €130 a month for international health insurance. I can go to any doctor in the world. Yeah, cost of living changes your life. So when you talk to people in their 20s and ask them if they're saving, investing, they say no. What's the point? They just spend it all because there's no point in saving for something you can never afford. And it's not just the housing, you know, the whole infrastructure in Germany is falling apart. You just have to look at the trains. You know, Germany has had the reputation to have one of the best train systems in the world. It's always on time, etc. But those times have long passed. Now the German train system aims for a punctuality rate for the trains of 60%. That's what they're aiming for. Aiming, you know.
Oh,
And the
aiming.
train in Germany.
So that means that aiming 60%, that means that's probably gonna fall within 35 to 40%.
Considered late if it's more than 10 minutes late. So if the train is 9 minutes late, and the statistics, it's still on time. You would be mad to go with public transport to the airport and not have like a 2 or 3 hour buffer in there, because every time you want to go to the airport, one train gets cancelled, the next one is 1 hour delayed, you're gonna spend a few extra hours getting to the airport with the train. It's not reliable anymore. I've traveled a lot of countries and I've never encountered such a bad train system anywhere.
That is
not even
so.
in India. In India,
Yo, I cannot believe the Deutsche Bahn is the one that you guys have over there. I'm so surprised that is even happening in Germany. Seriously, guys, a nation of builders, a nation of innovators, a nation of disciplined people. How is this even happening?
every train I took was on time. Every single one of them. How is that possible? I don't understand. So yeah, if you can't rely on public transport anymore,
Russia's public transportation is one of the best in the world, by the way.
it's a huge downstep in quality of life.
The metro.
You can't reliably get anywhere, which kind of sucks, right? It's kind of ironic that Germany is still spending like hundreds of millions of euro in developing aid to other countries, while at the same time it's becoming itself a developing country. Just last year, a major bridge has collapsed in the city of Dresden. So infrastructure in Germany is falling apart. They don't have enough money, but they're supporting other countries, which is a good thing. If you have the money, you should support other countries to get to your living standards. But if that comes at a cost of your own living standards, I'm not sure if that's a good idea anymore. You should be only financing what you can afford. You shouldn't spend money you don't have. And yet, despite all this, people keep voting for the same two parties over and over again. For decades, two parties have been ruling this country, CDU and SPD. They decided the future of Germany. That's what we got from it. And apparently people don't want to learn, especially for those two parties. Most people voting for them are over 60. They're retirees. They have voted for those parties their whole lives, and
so they're basically voting based on their own interests. Yeah,
change it, most of them. And because
it makes sense, because if they didn't have a lot of kids, they probably, they're not thinking about those things, right?
Germany is such an aging country. The majority of people is actually above 60. They're the biggest voter group. Apart from people voting for the same parties over and over again, Germany itself is not really a democracy anymore. I wouldn't call it that, because there's this other party, AfD, and they are the second biggest party right now. But no other party will talk to them, vote with them, or discuss anything with them. They are just pretending they don't exist. They have always done that. And they're even trying to ban this other party, which doesn't sound very democratic to me. They're always accusing this other party.
Democracy is only good when we all agree. You see what I'm saying? Democracy is always good when we all agree. That's what it is.
Being undemocratic, but by not even talking to them, not letting them be part of the conversation, basically, they are being the undemocratic parties. That's just logic. I mean, people must understand this, right? In a democracy, if those parties get a big share of votes, in this case like 20%, that's like 1/5 of all people in Germany. And they can't be represented in a democracy if the other parties don't acknowledge their existence. It doesn't matter what you think about them. It doesn't matter what views they have.
Yeah, that really doesn't matter.
Discourse, and in Germany, there is no discourse.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. Even if you disagree with them, you have to allow them to have some kind of. You have to listen to them. You don't want these people to become an echo chamber. You see what I'm saying? You don't want them to become an echo chamber, because by you listening to them and just going back and forth in debate, they might even change their own opinion. They might be thinking like, well, you know what? We might have to just change a couple things here. Oh, maybe I was wrong about this. Or you can change some things as well. And then you can, it's something like, then this can morph into something that can benefit the country. But, if you put yourself into echo chambers, man, you become radicalized.
And if you say anything that stands in the view of what this party represents, people will exclude you from society, or at least they will try to. And this is also a very dangerous situation, because it's creating an isolation
There
for
you go.
different groups of people in a society.
There you
And
go.
if certain groups of people feel isolated, they become more radicalized in both directions. And
Yeah.
that is not good for a democracy. So Germany saying, oh, we're the most democratic country in the world is absolute bullshit. It's just not true. I think many other European countries are more democratic. You have the same parties in Austria, in the Netherlands, and they're not being ganged up upon. You know, they are in talks with other parties. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but that's what a democracy is. So I would say Germany calls itself a democracy, but it doesn't act like one. That's also the reason why the AfD has become so popular among a fifth or more of German voters, because the other old parties, they won't address the issues that have arisen in the last 2 decades. So that's why the party was formed, right? Because people are unhappy with politics. It's kind of sad to see in Germany that the political left is encouraging violence against the political right, because left and
Yo,
right.
this is crazy, bro. This is so crazy. This is so crazy, guys. This is so crazy. Cannot believe this. It's like the Western countries go through the same thing, man. This is
Just
weird.
political spectrum. You can talk about things, or you should be able to talk about things, find a compromise. But in Germany, things are so divided between the people that the left is calling for violence against the right. The most absurd thing about this is that political actors from the left spectrum are encouraging this and saying, yeah, this is good. This is a good thing. Neither side should choose violence just to silence the opposition. That's stuff from.
But this is how it works, man. You see what I'm saying? This is how politics works. Politics is okay. When you talk about politics, it's just politics is like the art of mitigating conflicts and avoiding kinetic conflicts. That's what it is. But it always comes down to the force. Who controls the force? Whoever controls the force dictate politics. That's what it comes down to. Like if you get into philosophy, you will understand that the force doctrine, right? Force doctrine, which means that rights are determined by those who can defend them, meaning by force. That's what it's all about.
Authoritarian countries. And in general, I don't see Germany heading in a good way when it comes to free speech. People are getting arrested for posting memes on the internet.
Nah.
Literally. 5 years ago, you could have only imagined this from authoritarian countries in Africa or the Middle East or something like that. But that would have been unimaginable in Europe. But now the UK is mass arresting people. Germany is following suit. Comedy is over. Yeah, memes are over. Critical thinking is not allowed on the internet anymore. Nowadays, people even get arrested for stating facts. It's kind of ridiculous. It really started to get like this around COVID, you know, the people weren't allowed to say certain things. Ever since COVID, the state propaganda in Germany has been rising a lot. You can see it really in the news, how the government and the news outlets that are controlled by the government, like public TV, they're trying to paint a certain picture that is pretty far off of reality, what the everyday people experience. So they're just continuing to ignore the problems. So Germany is crumbling away slowly. Free speech, quality of life, everything. It's pretty much a downward spiral. And I don't see the bottom in yet anytime soon. It has to get much worse before most people will realize that something has to.
And that's where you don't want to go. If you're saying that in order for these things to even make some changes, or recognize that some changes need to be done, that means that, what does that mean? That means that there's a great possibility. There's a great possibility that conflict might be a solution. I don't know. I'm just saying. I might be wrong here. I might be wrong.
At that point, it's gonna get very, very ugly, in my opinion.
Yeah, I might be wrong.
But looking at history, all of this is pretty normal. I can recommend you to read the book, The Fourth Turning, or The Fourth Turning.
Yo, that's a great book, man. If you haven't read that book, I suggest to read it. The Fourth Turning is here. It's very good.
Which basically describes from history the cycles of society, that about every 100 years there's a major crisis.
And just to summarize it, have you guys heard this saying that good strong man creates good time creates weak man create hard time creates strong man? Just to summarize it for you, that's
that
what it is.
reshapes the whole society. And throughout history, those crises had to happen every 80 to 100 years. I think in general, the West is going to be a pretty ugly place to live in the next decade. It doesn't matter if it's the USA or Western Europe. The time has come for change, and change in this proportion is never pretty. It's going to be pretty ugly for a lot of people. So what to do? Looking to the east. This is
No, he did not. No, he did not.
what to do? Looking to the east. This is actually west. East. What does this mean for the future of Germany? Well,
Yo, don't get it twisted. The East is not going through something pretty either. I mean, Russia's going through a lot of economical turmoil. The birth rate is very low. Like the divorce rate is even higher than the United States. I think like they're not having good times either. I think when it comes down to Europe and overall, like we including the East as well, they're not good. If he's including like some of the Asian country, I can see where he's meaning about this. But even some of the first world East countries like Japan, South Korea, they're not in the best situation either. Like Korea and Japan, they're below they're below 1% for the replacement rate. Like these people, I mean, and the thing is that the inflations in those countries are even worse. So you have to really, like we cannot be in a position that we always escaping the problem, right? We always escape the problem. No, I think it's going to come down to, okay, time to fix the problem.
right now, the system is falling apart pretty much. What comes after, we don't know if it's going to be better or worse. Only time will tell. It's not that I hate Germany. There's just too many things that are going wrong. I mean, it's all fun and games until you have children, and then you have to think about their futures. To make sure that you have a good quality of life for yourself and for your children. You go away, right? That's also why so many people come to Germany, because they hope to have a better future there for the children, and it's understandable. If you're coming from the Middle East, from Africa, things in Germany are probably still much better than in those countries they're coming from. That's
Which
why
is not good.
They're coming, right? But if you're a German and you're used to a certain standard and you just see it going down, then you start thinking about how things could be different or were different even, because you have experienced them. So I'm happy to be part of a different society that appreciates people, that appreciates the work they do, that appreciates community. And in Germany, I don't see any community left. It's just a divided people.
Damn.
That can't agree on anything.
He's gonna make me cry.
Ship, and I'm not gonna stay on it to drown. The only thing that could turn Germany around would be a radical reform, radical changes. But German politicians have been saying, ever since I can remember, like for 20 years, they have been saying Germany needs to be less bureaucratic, there needs to be less regulation, need to be more attractive for entrepreneurs, for businesses. They have been saying that, and they know that. But then the next year they do more bureaucracy, they do more regulation. They know all of this, and they say it, but they also say they want to change it, but then they don't. They do the opposite. It's mad. It's mental. Maybe when the system is on the floor, I'm gonna come back to Germany. I'm gonna run for chancellor and fix all this mess. But where's my journey going, you ask now? I gave you all the reasons not to stay or move to Germany. For me, the best country in the world right now to live in is Japan. So that's where I'm going to spend the majority of my time now. Things work there, it's orderly. I can't really say anything negative about Japan. The only negative thing is the working culture. But since I'm self-employed, I'm not going to be part of the working culture there. I think nowadays it's all about values. Which values do you share and which values are you willing to be part of? And Germany has lost a lot of its values that make life in a society worth living.
Well, also it became, I'm sorry guys, but it became a more atheistic society. So even if you don't agree with this, right? Christianity gave some moral standard to Germany, even if you don't agree. But you have to understand that you have the societal aspect of it, and there's cultural aspect of it, and then it followed with what? With the spiritual aspect of it and health. So there's 4 pillars that keep a society together, and religion is one of them. If you don't have a religion, people that are migrating to your country, they do have a religion. Guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna implement that religion, and guess what happens? And what I notice in a lot of these European countries, they start adopting that religion. The UK is a great example of this. Canada is a great example of it. They stop, being Christians and all that stuff, and all of a sudden, what happened? These migrants start bringing their own religion like they should. They're just coming from those places. They're just practicing their own religion, their own lifestyle, their own everything. And they come to a different country. They don't need to assimilate to those values. And, the native population, they say, you know what? I don't have a religion. So this thing, I think I have a void in my life. This thing called spirituality, whatever it is, makes sense to me. Let me just go there. That's what it is, man. That's what it is. It's very hard to understand. And it's hard for some folks to understand that we don't develop morality out of the thin air. Morality is not built out of the thin air. Understand that. Yeah. There's some things that need to be written, not for yourself, for the upcoming generations. In a case of Europe, was Christianity. And European country, they just left Christianity. Even in the United States, some places left Christianity. And then what happened? Islam came in, Hinduism came in right away, and then they just filled the void. You cannot blame them. They just did what they always been done for thousands of years. They just coming in and just filling that void.
And I can see those values very much in Japan still. There are values that are better than others. For everyone, that's different. But you have to choose your values, and then you have to act on them. And then, if you're lucky, you can choose to live with those. And I really love the values Japan has. You can leave your wallet in a subway, and you're gonna see it again. 99% chance you're gonna see your wallet with all the money in there. Small children, they can commute to kindergarten, to elementary school. 5 years old, they take the subway, 30 minutes, no problem. Other Japanese people are gonna watch out for them. Nothing's gonna happen to them. Unimaginable in Germany.
Right now.
It's not gonna happen. You would be mad to send your child with public transport in Berlin to go to kindergarten or elementary school. It would be extremely irresponsible. But in Japan, that's normal. And I love that. Just being in Japan, seeing how people are to each other, it kind of makes me want to be a better person, because I feel like the uncivilized person there, coming from Europe, which is kind of funny and absurd. So much to learn. Finally, the barbarians are going to become civilized. But of course, as long as children don't have to go to school, I'm gonna be traveling a lot. So you're still.
As long as the what?
As long as children don't have to go to school, I'm gonna be traveling a lot. So you're still gonna see a lot of videos of me on the road. I really enjoy being in Southern Europe. People are nice, the food is good. I'm gonna visit Germany once in a while. My parents still live there, so I have to go back there once in a while, and then I'm gonna make some videos there as well. But the majority of the year, I'm gonna be not there. And I'm very grateful that I am able to choose this. That's also in part because of you, all of you who subscribed and watch my videos. Thank you for
Good job, man.
enabling me to choose my life
I wish you the best.
and be free. I don't think there's anything more valuable than being
Freedom.
free.
Freedom. America. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You dumb American, you always thinking that freedom is blind. I can see a lot of people triggering. You always say with freedom, but you guys have a totalitarian state. I love those comments, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. I love those comments. It's good. It's good to have some haters. If I don't have haters in my YouTube channel, I'm not doing something. I'm not doing something good, or I'm not doing enough. Listen, in my opinion, I wish him the best, man. That's all you can do at this point. You can just wish him the best. Homeschool your kids if you can. You want to do this more often, homeschool your kids. I know some Germans are against that. I understand, but understand where the situation or the severity currently of the situation. Culturally, the Western countries are contaminated. They're contaminated. And now you're not. Now I'm talking from the United States. I don't know if this applies to Germany that much, but in the United States, before you had to worry about adults being, predators. Now you have to worry about kids being predators, man. And it's because they're exposed to so much information early on that they get messed up and they become predators. Their own. Yeah, oh yeah, predators. And also the problem is that I want my kids to succeed. That means I have to put a lot of attention to it. I don't want him to be average. My kids, I don't want them to be average. I want them to be well prepared individuals. And right now, my kids read. She's only 5 years old. She can read easily. She's learning 2 languages. She communicate very well. I homeschool all my kids, and they can communicate very well. They can just order their own food easily, no problem. No problem at all. So it comes down to the perspective of what do you want for your kids, and that's what you're thinking. Some of you guys might not think like that. Some of you guys might be thinking like, I just simply want to get old, and I just want a little bit more the state to be involved in my life. That some of you guys might be in the opposite side, which is fine. But in the end, I want to hear your opinion regarding this. What's your opinion about him saying this about Germany? He might be wrong. He might be full of himself. He might be a hater. He might be a traitor. All these things, or he might be saying the truth. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, guys. I'll see you next one. I'm out.